Located in North London, there's a little village with a quiet ambience and an abundance of independent shops and beautiful architecture. And I'm obviously not the only person to think that this area is extraordinarily beautiful because it's a bit of a celebrity hotspot. This is Hampstead. In this video, we're going to show you the very best things to do in Hampstead, including some hidden gems and where to eat. Hampstead started to become really popular at the beginning of the 18th century, where many wealthy Londoners wanted to escape the smog of the city. They were looking for fresh air and amazing views, and Hampstead, as the highest point in London, was the place to go. At this time, they started to build their mansion houses, and also it was at this time that well springs were discovered and spas became really popular and popped up all over the area. Today, you can still find water references in the names all across Hampstead, including Wells and Flask. It couldn't be easier to get to Hampstead thanks to the fact that this area has its very own tube station that leads right onto the high street. From there, it's easy to get to the small cobbled lanes and little side streets that make this district so special. Hampstead Square is a particularly great place to begin your exploration of Hampstead thanks to just how beautiful it is. Indeed, most of the houses here date back to the 18th century when the area was particularly prosperous thanks to the nearby Hampstead Wells Spa. One of the earliest mentions of Hampstead dates back to 986, when Ethelred the Unready granted it to the monastery of St. Peter's at Westminster. It was even recorded in the Domesday Book of 1086, though at this point it was tiny and consisted of mainly farmland. Not only is Hampstead's architecture pretty beautiful, but its position on the hill means you can see many other parts of London. On a clear day, you can see as far away as the Shard, which is the other side of the River Thames. Burr House is a 1704 built Queen Anne and Georgian townhouse. It's actually one of the oldest homes surviving in Hampstead. It was built at this time in order to accommodate many people who were moving out of the busy city centre to the newly developing spa town of Hampstead. Today, it's been a community centre since the 1970s. There's a little gallery inside where a local art club is selling their wares, and there's also a small museum dedicated to local painters, portraits, and artists. It's free to visit, though donations are always appreciated, and most of the centre is actually funded by the fact that they rent out the music room today. This is Chalybeate Well, and its name actually means the water contains iron. This means that the water isn't suitable for drinking, but in the past it was considered to have medicinal properties. This is one of the many springs that is located around Hampstead. As one of the volunteers told us in the Burr House before, the water isn't actually coming up from the ground anymore, but it could easily be accessible if needed. Honestly, one of the nicest things about wandering through Hampstead on a clear spring day such as today is the presence of all of these little pedestrian side streets where it really doesn't feel like we're in London at all. In fact, we can hear the birds chirping around us. As I mentioned, there's quite a connection between Hampstead and celebrities, and this plaque denotes that in the 1930s, Daphne Dmorier, the famous novelist, lived here for 2 years. Hampstead is always pretty lovely to visit, but my favourite personal time is in the spring. This time of the year you get to see the cherry blossoms, and if you head to Hampstead later on in the spring you'll even see some wisteria. For the most part, Flask Walk is actually residential, but if you head to the western part of the street, then you'll find this little pedestrian alleyway with lots of boutiques, bars and restaurants. We opted to have lunch at a delightful restaurant called Ginger and White. They serve up a variety of classic brunch dishes and specialty coffee in a cosy setting. If it's sunny, you can even opt to sit on the terrace outside. There are lots of tiny pedestrian streets crisscrossing through Hampstead, but one of my personal favourites is Mansfield Place, as it's so quiet and it's really easy to forget that you're close to the heart of London. We've now walked up to Holly Mount. This gives spectacular views onto the City of London, but the main thing to see here is probably the most photographed pub in England, and that is right behind me. That's the Holly Bush. Fenton House is a beautiful 17th century manor which has now been turned into a museum. It's managed by the National Trust but is only open a couple of days a week. A carrot cake, although it got a bit squished in the walk. I'm not always a fan of bakery chains, but there is one that I really like in London. It's called Gales, and the original spot is actually here on Hampstead High Street. So we've got a little cake to go and we've come up to Whitestone Pond. Now this is 135 metres above the London Basin, making it the highest point in all of London. Honestly, I think this pond might have seen better days, but this leads us on to our next destination, which is probably what makes Hampstead so famous. It's Heath. This is the pergola and hill garden. It was created at the beginning of the 20th century for Lord Leverhulme, and the idea was to have extravagant garden parties and summer evening strolls in this Edwardian feat of engineering. Hampstead Heath covers over 800 acres and comprises of wild woodland as well as vast meadows. This park is pretty important culturally because it inspired C.S. Lewis when he created the Chronicles of Narnia, and is also where Constable spent his final years painting. Hamstead Heath boasts a lot of beautiful trees which are very, very old, but one that is particularly fond in many hearts of Londoners is the hollow tree, which is so called because it's full of holes. The mixed bathing ponds is one of Hampstead's greatest curiosities, and it's exactly what the name suggests. Here lies one of London's best open-air swimming pools. As the water isn't heated, it's actually only open for swimming during the warmer months of the year. The water is also opaque. This is Parliament Hill viewpoint, and it offers spectacular views onto London. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because if you like this London video, you'll probably like this one too. See you next week.